While G.I. Joe, a real American hero, had a fantastic initial run as a toy line from 1982 through to 1994, dedicated fans of the franchise have always wondered what things could have looked like had it continued into 1995. While some of those ideas would have included natural fits into the existing line like the Battle Corps Rangers or a martial arts themed expansion like the Ninja Commandos, the inclusion of the Replicators is a bit of a head scratcher and maybe a bridge too far, to say the least. I'll admit that this is a little bit of a strange one, but that's also part of the fun, so we may as well talk about it. Let's begin. The expansion of the sci-fi concept has always been polarizing amongst G.I. Joe collectors over the years. Sure, the space theme had been previously involved to some degree, what with the inclusion of items like the sizable Defiant Space Shuttle complex in 1987 and the Crusader Space Shuttle of 1989. But it was the introduction of the Star Brigade sub-team in 1993 that pushed the boundaries a little further. Taking some of our favorite existing heroes and villains into space with zero-gravity equipment, some new vehicles, and a towering armor bot, many see the expansion into outer space as a signaling of the death bell for the G.I. Joe line. So it may be hard to believe that G.I. Joe was even planning to push the boundaries a step further with the Replicators, had the line not been cancelled outright in 1994. The influence of the Alien movie franchise clearly helped to lead this. Yes, there was the classic timeless 1979 film, and then there were theatrical features in both 1986 and in 1992, during this particular era where G.I. Joe slowly became more space theme oriented. In any case, it seemed G.I. Joe was going to keep the cosmic genre going. And the next step was to incorporate aliens directly as a feature into their figures. Sure, there were alien creatures already represented in the 1994 G.I. Joe set of offerings, but the Replicators would have utilized existing human characters as physical hosts for the alien beings, thus evolving the concept more uniquely. The execution of the concept would have involved installing a button of sorts onto the back of the figure, and when you pushed the button, the alien being would emerge from the figure's chest through an opening cavity. Another concept was to have the figure split open for the alien to pop out. It has been discussed how this may have worked storyline-wise, but in general, it stated that the bursting aliens wouldn't actually kill the host, and the idea was explored of making clones of existing G.I. Joe and Cobra characters. That is, clones that the aliens inside could pilot. Dan Klingensmith's Creating G.I. Joe Volume 14 shows a memo from May of 1994 that introduces the Replicators in terms of backstory. This memo shows that a villain named Gol Kang developed the Replicators technology by experimenting with non-human genetics so that a being is able to switch between forms. And on that note, much of the information for all of this comes from multiple places. Images and information have been sourced from the aforementioned Dan Klingensmith's Creating G.I. Joe Volume 14 book, as well as 3djoes.com and the Art of 3D Joe's omnibus hardcover. Yojo.com was also used to cross-reference some of the information. Credit should also be given to original designer David Deforge, as well as illustrator Den Bove, for whom without we wouldn't have had these images to show at all. Getting into the characters themselves, there were 6 of them planned, with 4 heroes and 2 villains. Namely, we have Duke, Snake Eyes, Gung-Ho, General Hawk, Cobra Commander, and Destro. You can have a look at Duke here and how much he deviates from his more classic designs. You can see the purple alien bursting from his chest and how he's got a backwards ball cap with a headset on. The Creating G.I. Joe Volume 14 book also shows some preliminary models and the weapons detail. Snake Eyes here has some elements of his more signature look, with a tentacled alien emerging from the chest. You can see the various stages of Snake Eyes' development, as well as the concept art featuring G.I. Joe's famous Ninja Commando. Gung-Ho is shown here as a helmeted version, though the sculpture sheet shows him without this helmet. Further shown are some kit-bashed models earlier on during the design phase, and an uncolored hard copy that's closer to his final look. Here's Hawk with the multi-eyed alien creature coming out of his chest, and some pre-production samples that show that he would have come with a removable helmet. and it's impressive to see all the various design stages that were leading to his final look had these ever made it into mass retail. Here's Cobra Commander with another tentacled creature emerging from his chest. It seems they were indeed planning to go with his hooded look, but some preliminary sketches do show him with a modified helmet look as well. The hard copy pre-production sample shows how wide the chests needed to be to incorporate the outward bursting alien concept. Now here's Destro, who's perhaps the most interesting in terms of his intended package design art, as he literally seems to split open to let the alien creature out rather than having the opening chest cavity. You can see the line near the top of the chest of the hard copy pre-production sample where he presumably would have split open, and the various preliminary design models and artwork show the development of what he would have looked like, as well as how the splitting open gimmick was planned to be executed. The various 2-upsized models of these replicators are certainly very exciting for us as fans to see. These are called 2-ups because they were made at double the size of your standard figures and done during the prototyping phase for Hasbro to implement their details on a larger model in advance of factory tooling development and ahead of the later regularly sized pre-production test shots. One tidbit of information is that the character Sci-Fi's name has surfaced over the years as a consideration to put into the Replicators line instead of Hawk, though it seems Hawk would have been the final choice had these been put into production. In general, there isn't a whole lot more to say about these, as they didn't get as far into development as other intended 1995 figures like the aforementioned Ninja Commandos, nor did they have the broader range of offerings like the Battle Corps Rangers figures that also would have helped continue G.I. Joe past its 1994 closure. In the end, whether these would have been a hit with children remains a bit of a mystery. Obviously, the aforementioned Alien film series and even 1995's Species film, which hit theaters in the same year as the Replicators were intended to hit store shelves, could all have helped boost the popularity of such a concept. Having said all of that, we'll never know for sure, as the entire idea diverges so far from what G.I. Joe had started out as during the earlier part of the 1980s, and the Replicators figures may have been dead on arrival and gone straight to clearance for all we know. But that's part of the fun, to go back and see the toys that we could have had, and so that each of us can decide for ourselves if we'd been fond of them at the time. And if you happen to like this video, don't go anywhere just yet. I'm gonna put another unproduced G.I. Joe toy history topic that you can click on right over here, or for a look at an altogether different toy history topic, you can click on this video right over here. Otherwise, yo Joe, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching, and take care.